This has been 2 years since we have bought this Ford GT, and it has been a whole lot of fun for a lot of different reasons. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why or why not we are selling this Ford GT. Just in case you did not know, Ford Motor Company selects who gets to buy the all-new Ford GT. Now, this vehicle is now completely done with production. They built 1,350 of these Ford GTs in the entire existence of the program from 2017 to 2022. This happens to be a 2021 model year. And the crazy thing is that Ford Motor Company had an application process where all the people that wanted to buy the car had to put their name in a hat. They had to tell Ford why they thought they were capable and competent enough to actually get the car, and a lot of people did not get selected for this vehicle. Rumor has it anywhere between 10 and 20,000 legitimate verified buyers for this car applied to purchase it. And as I just mentioned to you, only 1,350 of them, roughly 250 of these vehicles were made each model year. And why in the world did Ford Motor Company select us to get a Ford GT? I still don't know. I'm sure it has to do with customer satisfaction, you know, the President's Award. I'm sure it had to do with just the volume that our dealership does. Maybe it has something to do with our YouTube channel, which is why you guys are watching. I really don't know, because we actually applied twice and got rejected twice. And then all of a sudden, out of left field, we got a random phone call from the Ford GT concierge that said, "Congratulations, you've been selected to order a Ford GT." And after I cleaned my drawers off, I got together and we actually had spec'd this vehicle just the way it is. And I'm going to tell you everything in this video that I hate about it, everything that I love about it, and just kind of give you the 2 years owner's review of this particular vehicle. In this video, I'm not going to go over all of the different things that all of the reviewers have been putting on this vehicle since 2017. That's not what this video is. This is truly a person that has had this car for 2 years. He has gotten a chance to see what some of the bugs are, what some of the wins of this car are, and I want to kind of give you a unique perspective, and I think you're going to enjoy it all the way through. But the very first thing I want to talk about is this is a carbon series, and what do I mean by that? Well, the entire car, all of the Ford GTs are made nearly entirely out of carbon fiber. And the cool part is because this is a carbon series, it has a really unique perspective on what it looks like. So obviously you've got the exposed carbon fiber here on the mirrors, on the wheels, down here all the way around the vehicle itself. It really does set it off because that is the exposed real carbon fiber that the car has. But one of my favorite things is going to be the racing stripes of the vehicle. These stripes are not paint, they're not tape. It is an absence of paint. So basically what you're looking at is these particular stripes are bare carbon fiber. And then what they do is they paint the rest of the car, leaving those stripes, and then they clear coat over everything. And then what we've done on top of that is we've added a SunTech matte paint protection film, CGS vinyl. You guys have heard me talk about them quite a few different times, but they did the wrap on this particular car and they knocked it out of the freaking park. The goal when we had that and when we did the window tint in the vehicle was to make this thing look like the Batmobile, because that's what it feels like when you're driving it. When you're driving the car, every person that I've taken for a spin in the vehicle says, "Holy crap, this does not sound like a V6. You probably know it has a V6. But the best thing in the world, if you have an opportunity, is riding a Ford GT with the windows down. Because what you don't realize is the intakes for the engine are located just outside of the windows themselves. And so when you get on the vehicle, when you're accelerating, all you hear is turbo noise, and it is amazing. Now, one of the reasons that they did the Ecoboost engine in this particular vehicle is for a couple of different reasons. Number one, I believe that Ford Motor Company wanted to put some brand recognition behind the Ecoboost engine to show that it is a worthy opponent inside of a race like Le Mans. By the way, shameless plug, Ford actually won Le Mans when this car first came out. And in addition to that, you've got a couple of other things. Fuel economy savings by having a V6, which that's laughable because I just put just a couple gallons of gas in this thing. It had 3/8 of a tank and had 48 miles until empty. So it had just a little less than a half tank, 48 miles till empty. It's not fuel efficient, but I guess it's more fuel efficient than a gigantic V8 cranking out a crazy amount of horsepower. But the other reason that they went with this particular package is so that way they could hit up the aerodynamics, because as you know, in racing, aerodynamics is absolutely key. And so by having a smaller packaged engine, they were able to create this fuselage that looks just like that. When we took delivery of this car, the Ford GT concierge that delivered it to us was a retired race car driver. And every time he kept talking about the body of the car, he would never call it the body. He called it the fuselage, like it was a dadgum plane or something. In fact, I'm going to show you something that's really kind of neat about that, and that is going to be about the hydraulic rear wing. So when you buy a brand new Ford GT, that concierge actually tells you and warns you, do not store the vehicle with the wing down. Why is that? This wing does a really, really cool maneuver where it's hydraulically actuated to go up and down, but it can also rotate forward completely, turning into an air brake when you're hitting the brakes really hard on the interstate. And so the cool thing is that it has that extra functionality. The downside is, take a look at the way this wing is functioned. And what happens is, because of the hydraulics, if you leave it in the down position, the very, very first few Ford GTs that were stored in production, they actually noticed that the wing was noticeably rotating forward over time. And what was happening, it was causing a pinch point where the wing was actually digging into the body of the vehicle itself, causing damage. The GT was damaging itself. How crazy is that? When is the last time you heard of a car that can create its own body damage? That's one of the reasons that Ford, when they came out with the vehicle, they actually had to redesign the entire car cover. The car cover was in this position, and now the car cover actually is designed to store the wing up, so that way if it does rotate, it's not going to cause damage to that fuselage that the Ford GT concierge kept talking about. So the Ford GT has got a very cool door system, and I'm going to talk about that. Notice how I opened it in one fell swoop. There is something that you need to realize when you're doing the Ford GT, is that if you press the button in and then try and pull on the door, it doesn't want to open, and that is actually built by design. So what you have to do is you have to hit the button and then open it. And that actually shows you the next thing that I absolutely hate about the car. Yeah, Fat Boy don't fit in this car so well. 6'3" is not a good package for a car that's made for a race car driver that's 5'2" or 5'3". So if you want a little demonstration, you've seen how I get out of it. Now you get to see how I get into it, and I've tried it 8 ways to Sunday. This is the best and easiest way to get in and out of the vehicle, and that is to back up very carefully as to not hitting the door. You want to sit your butt on the carbon fiber ledge, which is, by the way, make sure that if you get your vehicle wrapped, make sure they also do this ledge, so that way your butt doesn't leave no streaks, permanent scratches inside of the carbon fiber. Basically what you want to do is you just want to kind of fall back into the vehicle. And oh yeah. Now once you get rotated in here, it's not so bad, but getting in here is a little bit more difficult. Now because I am so tall, if I sat my back and my butt up to the chair like you should, this is how I would have to drive, legitimately. I don't know how well you can see that on camera, but bro, it's not gonna work. So how do I fix that? I have to actually scoot my butt out to the end of the seat, so that way I can slouch down in the seat. Then I can actually get my head off of the ceiling itself. Forget about wearing a helmet in this car. It's going to be impossible for me. But the other cool thing about the Ford GT, everybody's seen it, you've got a completely adjustable steering wheel, because all of the controls are right here on the steering wheel, as well as the pedal box. I just wish the pedal box went out a little bit further, and I wish there was a little bit more opportunity to recline the seat. But really, there is a little bit of reclining going on, but not a whole lot. So I was about to get out of the vehicle and move on to the next part of this video, until I realized right before I cut it off that, yeah, I just filled up the vehicle completely, and now it shows 54 miles until empty on a full tank. Something tells me that 48-mile range on less than a half tank of gas wasn't very accurate. But that is one thing this thing can do. It can pass any car on the road, but it can't pass a gas station. As I'm getting out of the Ford GT, I want to show you just kind of some of the nuances that I promised you in this video. And that is, how in the world do you even charge this vehicle? Because if you're going to leave it for any length of time, not drive it, you actually have to leave it on the battery tender. So a fun fact about the Ford GT is the battery that's used to crank the vehicle up and things like that is not a normal car battery. Those things weigh too much. So instead, what Ford Motor Company did is they put in a lithium-ion battery inside of the vehicle that is designed to save a ton of weight. Well, that's awesome and all, but the problem is that battery does not have a very good shelf life. And Ford actually tells you when they're taking delivery of your Ford GT that if you leave this thing parked for more than a couple of days, you need to leave it on the battery tender, because it is not intended for long-term parking. without that battery tender. So there's two places that you can hook up that battery tender. Option number one is where we actually keep it plugged up on the showroom when we are showing it off to customers, and that is going to be in these two locations right here. As you can see, you've got your positive, you've got your negative, and that's how you take care of that. The other location is going to actually be located in this massive trunk space. There is another plug located in the passenger side front end of that trunk, and you can plug it up there as well. I like to do it up front so that way I can actually fish the cord through the inner wheel well, and it gives it a much sleeker look instead of having the cords draped all over the body of the vehicle. That to me just bothers me. There are so many more amazing things about this particular car that I don't want to cover in this video because I've covered them in previous videos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a whole bunch of videos linked down in the description where you can click in and see all of the crazy details. In fact, I'll even have a secret video of the actual delivery process and a full demonstration of what that Ford GT is capable of directly from the Ford GT concierge as well. That video is not available for searching it on YouTube, but I'll have that linked down below for you guys if that's something that you want to see. But that leads me to one of the things that I hate about this car the most. And I've never talked about this before. This car is so stressful. What do I mean by that? Well, it is unbelievable the amount of attention that it gets. It's a work of art, and I love sharing it off with all of our customers. I can't not tell you how many customers have gotten in this vehicle, had an opportunity to crank it up and things like that. But with that comes a little bit of level of anxiety that what happens if one of those people scuffs up the carbon fiber when they're getting in and out of it? What happens if I'm driving down the interstate and some guy is being an idiot, and instead of paying attention to driving, he's paying attention to video in the car? That happens all the time. That's one of the reasons it scares me to drive this thing. Unless it's a beautiful Sunday morning or a beautiful Saturday morning, I really don't like driving it. Because think about it, if you get in a little fender bender and you crack a piece of carbon, you got to ship that puppy all the way back to Multimatic in Canada. And not every Ford dealer can actually do body work on these particular vehicles. And there's a very select few actual dealers that can even perform warranty work on these vehicles. And so all in all, are we going to sell this Ford GT? The answer is absolutely heck no. You know, when Ford chose us to be allocated for this vehicle, it was the biggest honor. In a lack of better words, it was a trophy. It was a trophy that Ford said, thank you for taking care of our customers. And that's the way that I look at this car. That's the reason we don't want to sell it. There's so many dealers that just wanted to get their hands on one of these so they can turn it, flip it, and double their money, which, by the way, that's what most of the customers actually ended up doing after the 2 years anyways, because we could double our money today if we decided to sell it. And legally speaking, we can now sell it, but we're not going to because we love the car that much. We love the brand that much. And as I've mentioned to you, this is almost a letter of recognition from Ford saying, Town & Country Ford in Bessemer and Pell City, Alabama, thank you for taking care of our customers. I'm just absolutely honored that Ford has even considered us. And I'm hoping that one day when the next version of the Ford GT or whatever it's going to be, maybe it's the new Dark Horse Race Edition or so, I don't know. But when that day comes, I want Ford to watch this video and know that we didn't just take this car and flip it the first legally chance we got. I say it all the time. I am a true Ford fan. I am not just a car dealer. I love cool cars and I love helping people. And I learned a long time ago, if I can just help enough people, I'll never have to worry about money. That's the way that we view things. So the long or the short is we are not selling this Ford GT. And if you happen to be in the area and you want to come see this thing, it lives on our Bessemer showroom. So that way everybody and their brother can see it. We can't let everybody and their brother sit in it because of the wear and tear, but we can absolutely open the doors for you, crack the doors, maybe even crank it up for you. And we just want to share this freaking cool car with the world. And so guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you let us know by smashing that like button. I want to say a huge thank you to every single one of you guys that are watching this video. And I want to reiterate it again. I know that I am hyper blessed. I don't deserve the opportunity to even see this car in person, much less have one. And so I just want to say that I truly am humbled, and I just thank you, because I am confident that if it wasn't for you guys in our community that we've built together, this car probably wouldn't be here to let everybody see. And so I'm truly grateful for each and every one of you guys. Hit us up and down in the comments. I know I say that in every video, but I actually do go through those comments, and I appreciate each and every one of them. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and have a great day. Peace.